Okay. Oh my god. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
Finally here. After years of waiting, the Sony A7S III is real, and it brings with it countless improvements.
Hey folks, Adam here, and I'm not a gearhead at all, but this looks very exciting. Now obviously I am looking at this as an A7S II owner. I am kind of Sony biased, not really, but even so, there's a lot of impressive features and some total game changers. I've made a list of my favourites that I'd like to talk about. I'm not going to cover everything here. There's plenty of other videos up already online that are much better at explaining the technical side of things. I'm just going to go through my list of favourite features and announcements that are going to be relevant for wedding filmmaking. So if you don't already know, I am concerned solely with video. I'm not interested in photography at all. I am just video and primarily weddings and kind of a documentary run and gun style of filmmaking. Hence why these features are standing out to me more than some of the others. First of all, I just can't believe that it's finally here. The A7S III, we've been waiting for years. A lot of people I know have been waiting for years, have been ready to sell their kidneys to buy one of these things. We'll get onto the price and the cost of it in a bit. First of all, it's got the flip out screen, which, you know, is great for vloggers, but I think it'll come in really handy. I shoot handheld, so getting down low and being able to manipulate the screen is going to be really helpful, because the previous screen, just, you know, folding out, it wasn't great, and you're kind of limited with where you can put it. So compositionally, you'll be able to reach different angles and places that you won't be able to reach before. So that's handy. The flip out screen, long overdue and great. Another feature that's kind of been on the wish list of a lot of people is the dual card slots. You know, they did this with the A7 III. So a dual card slot is a welcome feature, a welcome addition, knowing that you can record to two cards and you've always got that backup and that peace of mind, especially on a wedding, which you only get one chance to shoot. That's going to be helpful. It really feels like Sony have listened to what everybody wants out of this camera. There's a lot of features that I wanted to see that would be important if I was to consider buying this camera, and they've ticked all those boxes. They seem to have ticked everyone's Christmas wish list. It's amazing. So you've got the touchscreen now, you can touch focus, you can touch and rack focus whilst shooting, whilst in manual mode. So I film and record with manual lenses. I always shoot in manual focus, so being able to touch focus and rack focus between 2 points whilst I'm in manual shooting, that's kind of cool, because that'll be helpful in wedding ceremonies. I like the fact that they brought in touch focus and a touch screen. The autofocus is a lot faster from what I've seen. I've watched a couple of videos from iJustine and a couple of the review videos, and the focusing looks a lot better, which was limited on the A7S II. It's quite slow, but I don't shoot in autofocus, so I'm not too worried about that, but that's going to be huge for a lot of people. The first big one for wedding filmmakers: no recording limits. I should say no recording limits at 24 frames and 30 frames per second. At 60 frames per second, you get an hour of filming. So you can record consistently for up to an hour at 60 frames per second. I'm going to assume that that's going to be 25 and 50 frames per second in the UK. Previously, having to cut out the cameras at half an hour. A lot of wedding ceremonies and sets of speeches last longer than half an hour. So being able to record at an hour at 60 or 50 frames per second and unlimited at 24 or 30 frames per second, 25 frames per second, that is a game changer for wedding filmmaking, because you can leave your camera at the back of the church and not worry about it and just forget about it, leave it recording. That's brilliant. The low light, which was always a huge selling point of the A7S II, is even better. It looks incredible. Up to 409,600 ISO. From what I've seen, looks unreal. That was a huge feature in the A7S II. That's just going to future-proof it that bit more, make it even better. You've got the inbuilt image stabilization. The IBIS is improved. They've got a new stabilization mode, which I think is called Stable Active or something. And that does crop your sensor in by 10%. Active mode for handheld shooting, so it does crop in your sensor by 10%. and your shot, and your frame will be that little bit smaller, but for stable footage it does look really nice. It looks like it's massively improved, and to be honest, the stabilisation, the IBIS in the A7S2s wasn't too bad. 10-bit 422, this is obviously a huge feature for a lot of people, being able to shoot at 10-bit 422 at any frame rate, 4K, 120 frames per second, you can shoot at 10-bit. This is going to be huge for colour graders and anyone that needs as much information out of those pixels as possible. Again, not really a concern for me or many wedding videographers that I know, but it's still a huge feature. You've got new recording formats with codecs. They're using H.265 now, so the codecs for recording at are going to make your file sizes a lot smaller, which again is going to be great for 4K. I never really shoot 4K for weddings, but I can see myself, I think we're going to need to in a year or two, because that's the way the technology is going. This camera, I could see myself shooting in 4K a lot more, especially with the H.265, the compressed file sizes, makes it much more efficient in terms of storage. I think I'll be happy to start shooting 4K more. It doesn't overheat, you know, I just mentioned before the recording limits. You can record unlimited amount of time at 24, 25 frames per second. What Sony are claiming is it just won't overheat. Now I'm looking forward to seeing some like proper extreme case tests of this, because obviously it's been a bit of a hot subject with the Canon, but the fact that it's claiming not to overheat, again, huge. So we can record full ceremonies, outdoor, indoor, wherever, and apparently it's not going to overheat. That's massive. It's got an improved menu design, which is cool. The battery life is supposed to be 60% better than the A7S2, which is good because the A7S2 battery is awful. 60% isn't going to make it amazing, but it's better. That's good. The camera strap clip things, this is my A7S2, and you've got these camera strap clip things on the side of the camera. Now I've glued these down with a piece of putty, because when you're shooting, they use the jangle really bad. So what they've done with the A7S3 is they've made these clip things stiffer so that they don't jangle around and ruin your audio. Just because of that feature alone, that tells me that they've really, really listened to the community and thought this thing through. That might seem like a tiny little thing, but that's huge. Like I genuinely had to glue these things down to get rid of the jangling noise because it was so annoying. They've made them stiffer now so that it doesn't jangle anymore. It's mega. It's brilliant. So there's loads more specs. I will put a link to the official site below. There's loads of other great videos that you can go and check out. But for me, the main selling points, obviously you've got the 10-bit 422 that everyone's going to be talking about. You've got the 4K 120 frames per second that everyone's going to be talking about. The autofocus is loads better, the low light's even better, there's no recording limits, it's got dual card slots, it can record 16-bit on an external monitor, full HDMI, there's so many features, but for me as a wedding filmmaker, just being able to shoot with this going forward, this will future-proof me for another few years getting this camera, because it will make 4K much easier to deal with the new codecs. It will mean that I can record ceremonies in full. I don't have to worry about overheating. The battery life's better. It's just going to make everything about this camera is just going to make my job even easier than it was before with the A7S2. So will I be buying this camera? Yes, I will. I will be buying the A7S3 next year. I'm not going to buy it yet. Like most of us in the UK, there's not many weddings going on. I don't have any wedding work or any video work for that matter until at least October, November this year, and whether they go ahead or not, most of my work is now postponed for next year. I've got like 50 plus weddings next year. So it makes no sense for me to spend £3,800 body only. This is like well pricey, this is expensive. I'm still gonna get one, but that is expensive. But it makes no sense for me to spend £3,800 now when I've got no weddings for the next 6 months. So I'm gonna wait, you know, the first initial rollout, the kinks, the bugs, I'm gonna let all that stuff get ironed out, any issues that might crop up. I'm gonna wait till maybe there's some deals on, you know, before next season, before next wedding season. I'm probably gonna get one then. Should you get it? Now obviously this is going to come down to what you shoot on. If you're, you know, if some of you might be Canon, some of you might be Nikon, some of you might already be Sony. If you're already on Sony and you've already got an A7S or an A7 Mark III, then I would probably recommend doing what I'm doing. It might sound silly for me to tell you not to buy the latest camera, even though I've just been raving about it for the last 10 minutes. But it does make no sense to buy it now when there's no wedding work going to be coming in for the next few months. The amount of people I've seen on Facebook that are desperate to buy this camera, that are clamouring to sell gear so that they can afford it, but they've got no work coming in for the next till Christmas. So, you know, I get the excitement, but it's daft. So if you're already at an A7S II or an A7 Mark III and you shoot Sony, and you have got weddings coming up, they're brilliant. They've not done you any harm up to now. They're solid cameras. This has never let me down. I could probably shoot on this for the next 3-4 years and it'd be great. I do want the A7S III. There's loads of beneficial features that come with it, but there's just no rush. There's no rush. So there we have it. It's finally here. I'm super excited about it. Some of these features are incredible. I think it is going to be a huge game changer. It's probably one of the best cameras on the market at the minute for video production, when it comes out in September, that is. But by the looks of it, it is going to be the best wedding videography, wedding filmmaking camera out there on the market available to buy. So that's what I'm really excited about. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the camera. What are you looking forward to? Any questions, any thoughts? Comment below. I am sure there'll be much more discussion and videos to come regarding this camera down the line. Until then, thanks for watching. I will see you next time.